Hello everyone, welcome to StudyIQ IAS English channel. My name is Shubham Sagar and today in this free prelims crash course of UPSC 2025, we'll be talking about lecture 6 or we'll be doing lecture 6. So as implied, if we are talking about lecture 6, we have done up until lecture 5. So we have done orientation session and then we have done lecture 1 to lecture 5. You can go back and you can watch these lectures, and as I have stated earlier, all these lectures are standalone. So even if you're watching it for the first time, don't worry too much about it. But let's not waste any more time and let's start the discussion. So in the previous lecture, we ended our session on a cliffhanger. Oh my god, these are fancy words. So we have ended our session on a cliffhanger. I have given you this particular question related to guilds or shreni, which was asked by UPSC in 2012. And I have told you to answer this question in the comment section, and I was watching it. I think I watched it 1 or 2 hours back. So one girl answered it and she answered it correctly. So again, it's fine because in the previous lecture, we have not specifically talked about guilds or shreni. So if you people were not knowing about it, that's totally fine. So what are these guilds and shrenis? So these are associations of merchants, and it is said that they worked in a very independent manner. It's not like they were under the compulsion of kings or Gana Sangha, etc. So what are these guilds or shrenis in simple words? Associations of merchants. Associations of merchants. And what they used to do? They used to decide their working hours. From what time to what time they will be doing work. From which particular period they will be starting and they will be playing cricket and all those stuff. So they used to decide what will be the price of different commodities, all these things, where they will be trading, if they have to go to Southeast Asia, which particular Shreni will be going there. There were different Shrenis like Ayavadle, Manigramam, etc., who went to even different countries, and the profit was such that sometimes kings were also investing their share in these guilds and Shrenis. And it is also said that they were very democratic in nature, and according to many people, many scholars, these are one of the earliest examples of democratic assemblies in Indian subcontinent, these guilds or Shrenis. So now you know something about these guilds or Shrenis, fine. So here what they're saying, let's see the questions. And again, option elimination will work. Doesn't matter whether you're giving your exam in 2025 or 2050, doesn't matter whether they ask you only 1 pair, only 2 pair, only 3 pair. Whatever questions they're asking you, option elimination is not going anywhere. Fine. So here, let's see some statement. Every guild was registered with the central authority. Every guild. See here, extreme word. And you must have, see the people I'm assuming, although generally when I teach, I'm free of assumptions. I basically believe that you know nothing and I start from scratch. But even then I have a certain assumption, and what I'm assuming right now is you people are people who are serious guys, who are very serious about cracking UPSC 2025 prelims and the further stages, and that's why you are watching this video. So you people have certain idea, and you must have watched some videos where they have talked about like, okay, if there is an extreme word, more often than not they are wrong. And again, these analogies are not faulty either. Generally, when they ask you these kind of questions, every guild was this and that, even if there is one particular instance, you know, this statement will be false. So there is a very high probability of this particular statement being false. Every guild was registered with the central authority of the state, and the king was the chief administrative authority on them. See, kings were investing in some of these guilds or shrenis if they felt like, good evening Shundaram, if they felt like the profit was good enough. But it's not like every guild has to be registered. If this is true, then how come they were democratic? We are saying that guilds or shrenis, they are very democratic setup. They have freedom to do so many things. If the first statement is true, that whole fallacy, like that whole, you know, the assumption or the theory on which we are basing our like guilds or shrenis, that would be false. So first statement is wrong, that is extreme statement. Now if you eliminate one, you're left with B and C. The wages, rules of work, standards and prices were fixed by the guild, that we have discussed. Second has to be true. Then again, the only option you have right now is C, 2 and 3. So please don't, what has happened in the last 2-3 years, the question which I'm continuously getting from student is, sir, now these option elimination doesn't work. This will work, don't worry about it. We'll see the latest questions also at the end of this session, and you will realize that option elimination is not going anywhere. Fine, let's continue our discussion. And so answer to the previous PYQ is C. And in like the post-modern period, we have talked about Indo-Roman trade, how prosperous like India was at that particular point of time. And we were having trade with this Roman Empire, and we were having like, you know, sea route, we were having land route. And when we will talk about Gupta Empire, we'll see that one of the major reasons for decline of Gupta Empire will be the Indo-Roman trade getting impacted. See what happened? Around 330 AD, the Roman Empire got divided into two parts, Eastern Roman Empire and Western Roman Empire. The Eastern Roman Empire was known as Byzantine Empire. I'm not teaching you world history here. That we will do in the mains crash course later on once you have cleared the pre. So, but even then you have to know this, because they will say that one of the major reasons for decline of Gupta Empire is the decline of trade between India and Byzantine Empire. You will feel like, oh my God, sir, you have talked about Roman Empire. Now you are talking about Byzantine Empire. This Byzantine Empire is Eastern Roman Empire. Around 330 AD, 4th century you can remember, Eastern Roman Empire. Roman Empire got divided into two parts, Eastern Roman Empire and Western Roman Empire. This Western Roman Empire will disintegrate very rapidly because of the presence of some Germanic tribes. Again, you don't have to go there. I will teach you NCERT, I will teach you all those things. Not very relevant from our exam perspective. What you have to understand here is these people, these Guptas, they were trading with Byzantine Empire. Fine. So again, we had trade routes with Roman, both land routes as well as sea routes. Let's go, or let's move forward now. Up until now, you may have realized this particular thing, that my history or our history now revolves around maps. We are not trying to mug up facts. We are trying to deduce most of our information from maps, because if we pay a lot of attention to maps, most of the things we'll be remembering. Fine. So now we have to start Gupta Empire, and if we are starting Gupta Empire, let's try to have a look at maps. I will show you different maps. Like this is 375 AD map, then we have 450 AD map, and then we have 550 AD map, and these three maps will make you understand Gupta Empire in its entirety, and then we'll have a discussion on all the other things. So pay attention to these maps are very important. Fine. So let's start our discussion. 375 AD. Before we go to 375 AD, let's try to understand certain things about Gupta Empire. So Gupta Empire, many historians believe that 318 or 320 AD is the starting time period, and it went on till 550 AD. So 318 or 320 AD is the starting year of Gupta Empire, and it went on till 550 AD. The starting year, I think I have told you multiple times now, if you have watched my previous lectures, that the starting year has come from Al-Baruni's book, which is known as Kitabul Hind or Tarkik-e-Hind. This is the major source from where we have known this starting year of Gupta era or Gupta Empire. And again, there are debates about it. Who is the real founder of Gupta Empire, Shri Gupta or Ghatotkacha? But according to most of the sources, at that time, when Sri Gupta or Ghatotkacha were ruling, Gupta Empire was not exactly an empire. It was a small principality, you can say it. But the ruler who made actually Gupta Empire as or an empire per se was Chandragupta I. So now let's try to understand the chronology. We have to understand the chronology here of important rulers. Once we know the chronology, we can understand these maps, and once we understand these maps, you will understand the whole of Gupta Empire. You don't need to mug up anything. Fine. So chronology is Chandragupta I. And again, here there are certain discrepancies about date, but there are some clarity also. So Chandragupta I, many scholars believe that he ruled from 320 AD to 335 AD. Fine. Then there are certain scholars who believe that he ruled from 318 AD, and there are certain scholars who believe that he ruled till 350 AD. So there are different interpretations. I'm just giving you all the interpretation. After Chandragupta I, Samudragupta came. Fine. Samudragupta came, and he ruled from 335 AD to 375 AD. Fine. 335 to 375 AD. And again, if the rule ended in 350, then he's ruling from 350 AD to 375 AD. Fine. Then after Samudragupta, there is a lull of 5 years, because it is said that Samudragupta had a son called Ramagupta. And I don't know, there is something hazy about that sir, Ramagupta sir. We should respect him because he is an elder. So Ramagupta, it is said that Chandragupta II, he killed his brother Ramagupta, and he married his, bhabi, so to say. And that whole thing is written in a book called Devi Chandraguptam, which was written by Vishakhadatta, which is one of the favorite books of UPSC, and UPSC asked a lot of questions from them. Sir, just came online, hopefully didn't miss much. No, you didn't miss much, Rajashri. So let's talk about Samudragupta. So there is a lull of 5 years. Something very tricky was going on in Gupta Empire between 375 AD to 380. Something very, very we don't know much. Even Devi Chandraguptam has not survived in its entirety. We know about it from Bhoja Shringar Prakasha. In Bhoja Shringar Prakasha, there are certain excerpts of this particular book, Devi Chandraguptam. We don't have Devi Chandraguptam in entirety. So something hazy was going on. But again, we are not here to, give birth to any controversy theory. So let's stop for 5 years, and then Chandragupta II arrived. Why I'm telling you, again, if you go deep into this, you will realize that the coins which were issued in Ramagupta, all of them have disappeared. Not a single trace of Ramagupta you are finding. And thanks to Devi Chandraguptam, we know about this guy. Otherwise, they tried everything. The way things we have discovered, the way whatever things we have excavated, it seems like lots of efforts were taken to remove any or every trace of Ramagupta. So after killing Ramagupta, again, that is debatable, so we'll not go there. It's not like I'm a prime time TV host and I'm making a chatpata show here. So Samudragupta and then Chandragupta II, he is ruling from 380 AD to 414 AD. So here there is less speculation. The dates are getting more confirmed now. Like I'm telling you that in Chandragupta I, there are certain different interpretation. 320 AD to 335 AD, some are saying that 320 AD to 350 AD. Samudragupta 335 AD to 375 AD, and then some people believe that 350 AD to 375 AD. Then Chandragupta II 380 to 414 AD, and then Kumaragupta will come, who will establish Nalanda University. Kumaragupta, he will be ruling from 415 to 455 AD. 455 AD. And after that, Skandagupta. Skandagupta, he will be ruling from 455 to 467 AD. And after that, the later Gupta rulers. Again, there is a kingdom also of later Gupta. So you don't have to mix both of them. They are same but different. They are different kingdom. We'll talk about them. So these are 5 very important Gupta rulers which you cannot forget, and also their contribution. So once you have understood this chronology, like Chandragupta I is here 320 AD to 335, Samudragupta from 335 to 375, Chandragupta II from 380 to 414, Kumaragupta from 415 to 455, and Skandagupta from 455 to 467 AD. Now let's rewind. What are the important contribution of Chandragupta I? So Chandragupta I, he is considered to be the real founder of Gupta Empire. He established the Gupta Empire. He ruled and he extended the rule of Gupta kingdom. Fine. And he married a Lichavi princess, and that's why Samudragupta is known as Lichavi Dahitra. Fine. And then Samudragupta is considered by many scholars to be the greatest Gupta ruler. And we will talk about his 3-stage annexation. How he used to annex different territories. We'll have a discussion at that. So, and he was Anukampawan. Many people say that he was the Napoleon of India. He is mentioned in Javanese text Tantrika Mandaka. So there are so many things related to Samudragupta which you can find here, there and everywhere. So Samudragupta is very important. Then comes Chandragupta II. During his period, a Chinese traveler called Fahian arrived in India. Here we'll talk about different travelers like Fahian, then you have Huan Tsang, who is also known as Xuanzang, then you have I Sing. How will you remember their chronology, who came first, who came second, and there, so on and so forth. We'll talk about that. So Chandragupta II, Fahian came, he had Navratnas, Kalidas was one of his Navratna. So you have to remember all these special facts. He is also known as Sakri. Why he is known as Sakri? We have talked about it in the previous lecture. Anybody has any idea why Chandragupta II is known as Sakri? Anyone? 10 seconds and then I will again start. So Chandragupta II was known as Sakri because we will see he defeated the Shakas who were ruling in the western Chhatrap. He finally conquered, and that's why he is known as Shakri. Then come Kumaragupta. His major contribution is he established Nalanda University. He is one of the disciples of Kartikeya god. Kartikeya is Lord Ganesh, elder brother if I'm not wrong, and Kartikeya god is known as Lord Murugan. So tomorrow we'll talk about Vakatakas, Vardhanas and Sangam age. And in Sangam age, you will see which has become a hot favorite of UPSC now. So Lord Murugan is the principal deity whom like Sangam age people used to adore. So Kartikeya Bhagwan or the god, he is known as Lord Murugan in South India. and Kumaragupta. Again, during this period only, from Kumaragupta onwards, you will see a decline in Gupta Empire, decline in trade, decline in debasement of coins, which we have talked about in lecture 1, sources and Stone Age, that you have a coin, but you are decreasing the amount of gold in it. That shows economic decline, and that whole thing, the most of the brunt of, foreign invasion, that is Huna's invasion. Who are Hunas? We'll talk about them. They are similar to Mongols, but somewhat less ferocious. They are tribal people of Central Asia who were active in the Oxus Valley. Where is Oxus Valley? That particular Oxus river is currently known as God Murugan, sir. Exactly. He defeated Shaka people. Very good, Rajeshri. That particular Oxus river is currently known as Amu Darya. It's a river in Central Asia. So they were located around there and they were ferocious, like, tribal people. So they played a crucial role in, cutting off the overland or the land route between India and the Byzantine Empire. And again, they attacked India a lot. Skandgupta faced those attacks very bravely. But after Skandgupta, there were not many able Gupta rulers, and they were not able to sustain or, face these attacks in such a way that they could keep their empire intact. And then there was a ruler called Yashodharman of Malwa. He came around 530 AD. 530 was a period, 530s. In that period he came, and within a short span of 8 to 10 years, he controlled almost whole of India. He defeated Guptas, he defeated Hunas, and that guy was awesome, Yashodharman of Malwa. So all these factors will play a role in decline of Gupta Empire. We will go there one by one. We don't have to in 10 minutes only, we don't have to complete the Guptas, but we have to understand the chronology. Now, when we know the chronology, let's focus on this particular date, 375 AD. If I ask you now, you have just seen a certain chronology, and I hope you are not a fan of Gajini. Why I'm saying Gajini? Because Gajini suffers from short-term memory loss. So just tell me, 375 AD, who was the Gupta ruler who was ruling at this particular year? 375 AD, you can see here, you have to look at the maps. Maps are the single most important source for history. You may feel like, so that is geography, but no, even in history, it will help you a lot. 375 AD, who was the Gupta ruler? Any idea, anyone? (375 AD) is the ending year. If you go back here, 375 AD is the ending year of Samudragupta. So this is the time when Samudragupta's reign has come to an end. Now pay attention to Gupta Empire. See how vast it is. In the reign of Skandgupta, or Skandgupta, I'm saying Samudragupta. At the end of the reign of Samudragupta, see, Gupta Empire is going to south, even to Pallavas. And here there was a king whose name was Vishakhadatta. What Gopa? Vishakhadatta. And he met him, and there was 3-stage annexation. How he annexed different territories. We'll talk about it. And again, see here, Shakas, they are still active here. These Western Chhatra belongs to Shakas. And then there is a kingdom which has replaced Satavahanas, which are known as Vakatakas. We'll talk about them, how Gupta and Vakataka, they have a love-hate relationship. They were so much things were going on. At one time, Chandragupta II, if you see this again, here is Chandragupta II, 380 AD to 414 AD. He married his daughter, Samudragupta Rajeshri and Supriya is saying. Very good here. Aarti is also saying. CG2 Anvesha. See, so at 380 AD to 414 AD, Chandragupta II is ruling. He married his daughter, Prabhavati Gupta, to a Vakataka ruler. And there was a time period from 385 to 405 AD, 385 AD to 405 AD, when that Vakataka king has died, with whom Prabhavati Gupta married, and Prabhavati Gupta in effect, she was actually virtually ruling over Vakatakas. So in a way, since Prabhavati Gupta is a Gupta, so Guptas are actually ruling over Vakataka. So that's why 385 AD to 405 AD is known as Gupta Vakataka period. All these things were happening, but even then Vakatakas in general did not like Guptas. And you will see, in fact, when you read history and you read history in detail, you will realize that they used to incite the neighboring kingdoms. Whenever they felt like Guptas are declining, they used to incite neighboring kingdoms to attack Guptas. So there are multiple factors which played a role in the decline of Guptas, and you can only understand it once you are looking at the map. Fine. So Western Chhatrap is active here. Satavahanas has been replaced by Vakatakas. There are different smaller dynasties like Pallavas are here. Later on you will see Chalukyas also. Fine. Gandhara, Kushanas. Kushanas are there, and some people believe from where Guptas arrived. There is a question here that Gupta people from where they arrived. Who are these guys actually? So many historians now converge on the fact that the region where Guptas are ruling, that region was for a very long period of time ruled by Kushanas. Kushanas you can see here. So they have went northward when Guptas became powerful. So many people believe that these Gupta people, they were feudatories of Kushanas. They were working under Kushanas. Feudatories concept we have discussed yesterday when we have talked about Satavahanas, how they started land grant system on a larger scale and how that led to start of feudalism on a larger scale in Indian subcontinent. So there is one very high or very big belief among historians that Guptas were feudatories of Kushanas, and they said that the Gupta people, they are issuing similar type of coins which has been issued by Kushanas. They are ruling in the similar areas. So many things are similar between Guptas and Kushanas, and there is a very high probability that Guptas are feudatories of Kushanas. So please understand these things. These are very important things. Fine. 375 AD, Samudragupta period is ending, and Gupta Empire, you have seen, they have reached southwards. It is said that Samudragupta followed three-stage annexation. In the first stage, what he did was all the territories, some territories, not all the territories, he shouldn't be using the extreme word, some of the territories which were nearer to Patliputra, which were ruled by some Naga rulers, etc. Naga rulers, let me tell you something very interesting. Naga rulers who were ruling adjacent to Guptas, etc., we know about them. We have very limited information about these Naga rulers. What we know is these Guptas, they married Nagas. Vakatakas, they married Nagas. Whomsoever dynasty you are picking up here, they married Nagas. And generally, this is a very, very strong, like when you read history and when you are understanding history, you will realize nobody will marry someone of lower, trajectory. If everybody is marrying Nagas, that means Naga had certain amount of influence in that particular period. Let me give you another example to make you understand this thing. Like when we will talk about Buddhism, Jainism, Charvaka and Ajivika, you will realize that we have major text, or most of the sources we have are of Buddhism and Jainism. We don't have enough sources of Charvaka and Ajivika. How do we know about Charvaka, which is also known as Lokayat philosophy, or Ajivika? Because in Buddhist and Jaina text, we have talked about Jaina text, Parishta Parvan, Bhagavati Sutra. So in these Buddhist and Jaina text, they have criticized Ajivika and Charvaka a lot. Again, you won't criticize anyone or everyone. If people are criticizing Modi ji or Tendulkar or Dravid or Kohli or Rohit Sharma, I think Kohli and Rohit Sharma right now deserve a little bit of criticism. But again, so if people are criticizing these guys, so they are not small guys. Similarly, if Buddhism and Jainism, they are criticizing Charvaka and Ajivika, they must have been like fierce competitors of these particular religions. Similarly, if Guptas and Vakatakas and other religions, means these cultures, difference between Charvaka and Ajivika, sir, I will tell you. So if these people, they are marrying with Nagas, so Nagas people, they must be a very influential group here. They must have ruled over a certain area, but we don't have any information about these Nagas, except for the fact that whatever Guptas and Vakatakas are saying about them. So difference between Charvaka and Ajivika, anybody in the comment section who want to comment on it, we have talked about. Nagas were from Southeast Asia, Cambodia, Indonesia perhaps. There are different theories about Nagas. We cannot say for sure from whom these Nagas were. They were ruling over northern India also. There are different Nagas, some were in South India also. Here, the Nagas which we are talking about are the Nagas who were ruling in northern India. Fine. So again, you don't go there. I'm just telling you a story so that you can understand these things in a much better manner. You don't need to remember stuff. And you can also do option elimination via these facts. So Charvaka and Ajivika, we'll talk about them in I think 2-3 lectures from now. So Charvaka is a materialistic school and Ajivika is a school which believes that everything is preordained. Charvaka is a materialistic school. What does it mean? That the purpose of life is enjoyment according to Charvaka school, which is also known as Lokaya school. And they say that even if you have to take loan to enjoy, just take loan and enjoy. The purpose of life is enjoyment. In Hindi, there is a saying that udhari leke agar ghee peena pade to piyo. That means if you are taking loan and you are drinking ghee, you can do that because the purpose of life is enjoyment. And that's why I think when we have discussed this earlier, I have told you, if you have a friend who follows Charvaka philosophy, never give them a single rupee loan because he will not return it because he believes that the purpose of life is enjoyment. Ajivika believes that everything is preordained. Niyati philosophy, that is known as. That means whatever you may have heard your grandmother and everyone saying that जो भाग्य में लिखा है वही होगा. That means whatever is written in your fate, that will happen. Doesn't matter how much hard work you are doing or your idol or whatever. If something is written in your life, that will happen. If some girl is going to come and propose to you, she is going to come and propose to you. Don't chase, attract. Oh my God. So we are deviating from the path. That is Niyati philosophy. Everything is preordained. We'll talk about the pros and cons of these philosophies later on. Let's focus, bros. Let's focus on what we are talking about here. And yeah, so let's focus on this map. What we are talking about, 375 AD, end of Samudragupta reign, and he has extended Gupta Empire far south. He followed a 3-stage annexation policy. In first stage, areas which were nearer to Patliputra, he directly controlled them. In the second stage, what he did was, he started controlling the tribal areas, which are known as Atavira Rajyas. The tribal areas, the forested areas, which were there in the Odisha region, because he felt like this particular region is a gateway to the south. In between, you have Vakatakas, which who had a love-hate relationship with Guptas. We'll talk about them. So he felt like if we eliminate these Atavira Rajyas or these tribal people who were very rebellious in nature, we have already talked about Kalinga and Khadavelas, how ferocious, like, you know, how independent they are and how they protect their sovereignty and all those stuff. So Samudragupta felt like they are threatening his sovereignty, etc. And he felt like if he controlled these Atavira Rajyas, he can go to south. So second stage, he controlled these tribal people, Atavira Rajyas, and he went to south, and he went to meet Pallavas, and there he went and met Pallava king Vishakhadatta. So this is, and again, when he subjugated Pallavas, he was not like directly, you know, he was not directly controlling Pallavas. His aim was, he told Pallava Raja Vishakhadatta that you accept our subordination, you rule. Dude, you rule. We are not doing anything or telling you to alter anything. Just rule whatever way you are ruling, accept our subordination. And in third stage again, some areas which were in northern India who were again rebelling against Samudragupta, he controlled them. So there was a mixture of centralization and decentralization in Samudragupta's policy. The areas which were far from Patliputra, like Pallava, ruled by Vishakhadatta at that particular point of time, he did not annex them or brought him under his fold directly, or, you know, direct control was not there, indirect control was there. Just accept our subordination, send us some tribute. So all these things were happening in his various stages of annexation, but you can see how big this Gupta empire is. And you also realize one thing, however strong and however Anukampawan and however powerful he is according to Allahabad pillar inscription, he was not able to subjugate Western Kshatrap or the Shakas. We have talked about Shakas. Northern Kshatrap, center was Gandhara. Western Kshatrap, the center was like the current Gujarat and Maharashtra region. So this Western Kshatrap will be won over by Chandragupta II. So now if you see this map, 450 AD. Now we have seen the chronology. We have discussed the chronology. Welcome A. School of thought means can be said as believe ideas. Yeah, exactly. So now the second point is 450 AD. Now who is ruling in 450 AD? Keep a tab on the map. This map will help you to solve many questions. So who is ruling? Who is the Gupta ruler at, like, when we are talking about 450 AD? CG2, Anvesha is saying. CG2, that is Chandragupta II. We have talked about him, and again, why am I writing it? I have already written it here. See, 380 to 414 AD. It is not CG2. Kumaragupta's reign is ending here. So 450 AD, this is a time period. After 5 years, Kumaragupta's reign will end. So this is a time period when Kumaragupta is ruling rather than CG2. Right? So again, you people are not gods. It will take some time for you to remember these chronologies. Just like when we talk about Mughals and you remember about, you know, Babur, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb, and then you forget everything about later Mughal rulers. Same thing you don't have to apply here. In fact, I will teach you later Mughal rulers in such a way that you will remember all of them. But here you don't need to remember later Gupta rulers. You just have to focus on these rulers, the 5 rulers which we have talked about. So 450 AD, Kumaragupta is ruling, and before him, his father Chandragupta II has already conquered this Western Kshatrap. And that's why you are seeing that Gupta period or Gupta empire is extending westward, but they have lost their control southward. See Kalinga, they have again become independent. These tribal people, again, they have very strong sense of autonomy. Pallavas, they have also become independent. Kadambas have arrived. Vakatagas have shrunk a little bit. So all these things you have to keep a tab on it so that you can understand what is happening here. Kamrup is a kingdom in Assam, and later on you will see that Harsha will ask Kamrup king to send Huan Tsang to his kingdom. So again, all these things will be happening. The major point here is, in these two maps, you have to keep a tab on this. Western Chhatrap still independent at the end of Samudragupta reign, but Western Chhatrap has been captured by the time Kumaragupta reign ends. In fact, it has been captured much earlier. So these are the facts which you have to keep in mind. Fine. So again, if we come back to 550 AD. Now 550 AD is the end of Gupta era, or the end of Gupta Empire. This is taken as the end. So because of all the things which has happened, and there are so, like, you know, Huna's invasion, Yashodharman of Malwa in 530 AD, he like captured whole of India almost. Because of all these things, what has happened is there are different kingdoms which has, or different, you know, small principalities which has originated, or which you can see here. Mokris, their capital was Kannauj. Pushyabhuti, their capital was Thanvishwara, which is also known as Thaneshwar in Haryana. Fine. And then late Guptas. Now this is a very tricky point. Late Guptas. Many people say, and many people ask this question, are these late Guptas associated with the earlier Guptas? So some says yes, and most of the historians says no. They have just taken the name late Guptas because, you know, we take the names of famous people because we want to be famous. And what better way to become famous than to be like, when you take the names of other people who are famous, it becomes easier for people to memorize you or to remember you. So most of the scholars now believe that later Guptas, they have these late Gupta kingdom, they had no association with the earlier Guptas per se. They are a different entity altogether. So, and here we have Maitrika kingdom in Vallabhi. These things you have to remember. UPSC has asked questions on it. Pallavas are still there. They'll be there from 4th century to 8th to 9th century, and Chalukyas have also originated. There are very famous stories related to Chalukyas and Rashtrakutas. We'll talk about it later on. Right now, the major focus is you just have a look at this particular map. And this is the Malwa region. From this particular area in 530 AD or around 530 AD, 530 to 532 AD, there emerged a king whose name was Yashodharman, who defeated Guptas, who defeated Hunas. And at that point of time, he was the conqueror. For almost 10 years, he was the conqueror of major portion of India, Yashodharman of Malwa. Fine. So we'll talk about all these things. We have seen the maps now, so you people have some idea about Gupta Empire. Now they are talking about sources. From where are we getting all these informations? So you have inscription, Allahabad pillar inscription. You have their coins. We have seen their coins, and CRT has shown you these coins. Should we start from ancient history, sir? Did not understand. Haven't we started from ancient history? What is, like, can you explain the question further? We have started from ancient history, we have started from sources, and currently we are in Gupta period, and we are trying to understand what is happening where. Cool. So sources of information. So here we are trying to understand what are the sources which are giving us information about Gupta period. So you have Allahabad pillar inscription, you have their coins. Gold coins are known as dinaras. Silver coins, what are they known as? In the sources lecture, we have talked about what these silver coins are known as. You cannot forget. Don't be a gajni when it comes to preparation for exam. You have to remember these names. So gold coins are dinaras. What were silver coins in Gupta period known as? Anyone? Silver coins were known as Rupaka. They were known as Rupaka. Silver coins were known as Karshapana. Punchmark coins were also known as Karshapana. So please don't forget all these things. Keep on revising whatever you have learnt earlier. See, just like Indo-Greek kings who had their names and everything, the photos, then Kushanas also built, like, had such pure coins and such high quality coins, unlike Satavahanas. We have seen how their coins were, like, ships were made on the face of the coins, but the coins were very haphazard, just like punchmark coins, somewhat better than punchmark coins. So again, here you have names, epithets, everything, and again this bore similarity to Indo-Greek and Kushana coins, and that's why when we have seen from where these Guptas arrived, the theory which is most, acceptable right now, they are feudatories of Kushana. This coin thing is also one such evidence that the Gupta coins, the Kushana coins, they are very similar. Sanskrit literature. Now, what is the major purpose here? To make you remember different texts. Like we have earlier talked about from where we are getting the information about Mahajanpadas. So then we have talked about Jaina text, that is Bhagavati Sutra and Parishtha Parvan. So here also you will read some books or the names. Epics are Ramayana and Mahabharata. Puranas are Smriti. They are not part of the Vedas. Upanishads are part of the Vedas. They are Vedanta. We have discussed this multiple times. Niti Shara, who is the author? Kamandaka. So these are some names which you have to keep in mind. Now in Jaina text, up until now I have told you Bhagavati Puran. You just have to remember the name, bro. You just have to remember the name. So Bhagavati Puran is one text which we have talked about when we were talking about Mahajanpadas, from where we are getting the information. Then we have talked about Parishtha Parvan. These will be Parishtha Parvan. Have a look at the spelling. Parishtha Parvan. Parishtha Parvan. Fine, you can have a look at the spelling. Parishtha Parvan, because we have seen these will be the toughest question. Which of the following are Buddhist text or Jaina text? Now this is the third Jaina book which you are reading, Harivamsha Puran. Now generally why these names you have to read it earlier, because you feel like this is a Purana, so this is a Hindu text. Not all names or books names which are ending with Purana is a Hindu text. Harivamsha Purana is a Jaina text and it's a very interesting text where they are talking about so many different things. Anvesha sir, if the purity of coins increase, does that mean the common people don't access it more often? No, if the purity of coin increases, that means the economy is very prosperous. They have too much gold, so they are investing it in coins. They don't care about the amount of gold because they have so much gold. So in a way, if the kingdom is prosperous, there is a very high probability that the people will also be prosperous. But again, that's not always true. We have seen that there is something known as jobless growth also which is happening in economy. But yes, high probability if the purity of coin increases, the economy is in a better space, and that means the people are in a better space. That means people are accessing it more often rather than vice versa, which you are saying. So Harivamsha Purana, Jaina Harivamsha Purana, it talks about Neminath. Neminath. Who is Neminath? Neminath is, when we will talk about Jainism, you will talk about 24 Tirthankars. 24 Tirthankar is Mahavira. Neminath is 22nd Tirthankar. Right? He is 22nd Tirthankar. So this Harivamsha Puran, what does it talk about? It talks about Neminath. This is an important book, and it says that Krishna Bhagwan here we are talking about, and he says that Krishna Bhagwan is the first cousin of Neminath. So Hinduism, Jainism, everything is mixing here. And then they are also talking about that, like Draupadi. We know that Draupadi was married to 5 Pandavas. So here they are saying that no, Draupadi was only married to Arjun. All these things are written in this Harivamsha Puran, only married to Arjun. I will tell you why there is so much debate related to. So your mouth must be open if you are hearing it for the first time. So see, Draupadi marrying 5 guys, it's a very, very, very progressive or bold step. So generally we talk about, and there is a very big discussion which happens, which you should know, that will help you gain conceptual clarity. So one thing is, in Mahabharata we talk about Draupadi marrying 5 guys. If we talk about right now, if I tell you that will you marry 5 guys, if I ask a girl, so girl will be like, oh my god, no. No, you know, society will be like, what are you saying? So if Draupadi is marrying 5 guys, that shows the condition of women in the period when Mahabharata was written, or this particular portion was written, the period of women was good. They could think about a girl marrying 5 guys, which even now in current society, you will feel like, oh my god, what are you saying? Do you have no shame? Like, how can you even say that? Forget about, like, you know. But so I will just tell you certain things which Upendra Singh ma'am has written in her book, Ancient and Early Medieval India. So she says that Mahabharata, many believe that Ramayana happened first in like genealogy if you read it, and Mahabharata happened late, if I'm not wrong. But Upendra Singh ma'am says that Mahabharata, there is a very high probability that Mahabharata was written in early Vedic period when the condition of women was good. And that's why you are saying that like Draupadi is marrying 5 guys. And she is saying that Ramayana, there is a very high probability that Ramayana was written in the later Vedic period when the condition of women deteriorated. And that's why Sita Mata is told to undergo, you know, to become Sati and to prove her chastity and everything. If you have read Ramayana, you know what I'm saying. So there are so many things. So such interesting version that even though when you talk about chronology, Treta Yug, Dwapar Yug, Satyug and Kal Yug, you realize Ramayana happened first and Mahabharata happened later on. But if you see the way these books are written and what scholars are deducing now, they feel like the way Draupadi is marrying 5 guys, which is very progressive, even for the current age, it feels like it was written earlier than Ramayana. Are you understanding what we are discussing here? This is a very, 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 very interesting observation. Very skewed sex ratio might push people into polyandry. Are you understanding what we have discussed here? This thing you have to understand. Not many people know about it until or unless you have read that particular book. So this is a very interesting observation. Hope you understood some part of it. Fine. So again, maybe that's why even these guys who were writing Harivamsha Puran, they were not able to digest the fact that Draupadi had married 5 guys. You know, just like many of you, if you talk about, like, hope you understood what I'm saying. So maybe that's why he has this observation that Draupadi only married Arjun. The most important point is why I'm telling you these many stories about these people or these books, so that you can remember it, or you can remember that Harivamsha Puran is a Jaina text and not a means Hindu text, or you know, that part you have to understand. And then Devi Chandraguptam. When we were talking about the chronology part, then we have discussed that something very fishy has happened in these 5 years. Samudragupta is ruling till 375 AD and then Chandragupta II is ruling from 380 AD. These 5 years are one of the most tricky 5 years of Gupta period. Many evidences suggest that so many attempts have been taken by Gupta ruler chronology, means whoever was ruling at that time, to eliminate all evidences of Ramagupta, who used to rule between this period and who was the brother of Chandragupta II and whom Chandragupta II killed and married his Bhabi, so-called Bhabi. So again, so these are the things which you have to understand, and the information which we have about Ramagupta is from this Devi Chandraguptam, which UPSC ask a lot. So Devi Chandraguptam, Vishakhadatta, and also this book has been lost. From where we have got this information? Bhoja has written a book called Shringar Prakash. In Shringar Prakash, he has cited Devi Chandraguptam, and from there we have got this information. Maybe efforts were made to eliminate this Devi Chandraguptam book as well in that period. God knows what. Vishakhadatta, Devi Chandraguptam is one of his famous books. I have also told you about his second famous book. Devi Chandraguptam, UPSC has already asked. So there is less probability of UPSC asking Devi Chandraguptam again. What is the second book which we have talked about related to Vishakhadatta? Bros, second book. Anyone? I'm giving you 10 more seconds and then I will say. The second book is Mudra Rakshasa. Please revise, and please revise. We have talked about Mudra Rakshasa in the previous lectures, where we have talked about a minister called Rakshasa who was there in Nanda Empire, and Kautilya wanted him to be his, like, he wanted him to be a part of his army and to support Chandragupta Maurya. He was not able to, or he was not ready to do that, and how they managed to convince Rakshasa. That is the story, Mudra Rakshasa, which is a story of Nanda and Mauryan period, but it was written by Vishakhadatta in Gupta period. So all these things you have to remember. Devi Chandragupta and Mudra Rakshasa, you cannot forget them, bro. You cannot forget them. Fine, Sundaram remembers. Very good, Sundaram. So now we have seen or heard about Harivamsha Puran and what they are saying. We have also deduced certain things based on Mahabharata and Ramayana. Traveler's account. So Chinese traveler, they will start coming now. Fahian, and then later on in Harsha periods, Wenzhang or Huan Tsang will come. How will you remember who came first, who came second and third? And because chronology questions has been asked by UPSC earlier, I will tell you an easy way. So let's say you have Fahian, and then there is another traveler called Huan Tsang or Huanzang. So Fahian, Huanzang. See here. We all know English alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K and all up until Z. We know it, right? So we know F comes first, then come H. Same way you will remember them. That Fahian came first and then came Huan Tsang. F comes before H. So F of Fahian came before Yuan-Tsang. Now this is fine, but they have other names also because these are Chinese names. So he is also known as Faxian. So be very aware about it, Faxian. And this Yuan-Tsang, he is also known as Xuanzang. So you have to be very aware about it. I have just given you the chronology part, how you will remember it. F come first, Fahian came first, and then came Yuan-Tsang or Xuanzang. You see the name. And then there is Yizing, who came the last. Y is anyway very, the last, one of the like second last alphabets. So fine. So Fahian, please remember this chronology. This is important. And he wrote a book called A Record of Buddhist Kingdoms. You can remember the name, although very less probability that UPSC will ask you, tell me the name of the book. Namaskar, Doraemon. This is actually a very cute name. So Record of the Buddhist Kingdom. Please pay attention here. Fahian. So what he said, and he arrived, we have just discussed when we were discussing the chronology, that he arrived during the period of, okay, so Fahian, he arrived during the period of which Gupta ruler? Thank you, Muzammil. Thank you for watching my videos at night. You can watch it live also. Then the interaction will be more. You can ask me anything. Yes, sir. Fahian came during the period of Chandragupta II. What he said? He said that Buddhism is flourishing in the northern India. It is flourishing in the Gandhara and Takshila region. But he was saying that, bro, the Gangetic Plain area is an area where Buddhism is declining, Hinduism is flourishing. All these things he is saying. And then he is also talking about the caste system, the untouchability and everything. He is talking about there are different outcast people who don't even lie in the four varnas, Chandalas, Domas, Badataus, etc. who, if they are entering a city, they will strike the wood before entering the gate of the city, and they will let other people know that they are entering, and then the other people will leave space for them, and then they will enter inside the campus. So this whole means, untouchability, abolition of untouchability, Article 17, etc. All these things, you are seeing that the caste system is expanding, subordination of caste is increasing, Varna system and everything. So all these things has been written by Fahian in his Record of Buddhist Kingdom. You can always say that, sir, he is a Buddhist. He will always find his religion to be awesome, and he will always find other religions to be not that awesome. That point is taken, but even then we have to understand that other sources were also saying similar kind of stuff, that the caste system, Varna system was getting firmly established in our society. Cool. Then political condition. Now, there is a very interesting thing. We now know certain things about Gupta period, like they were the feudatories of Kushana, etc. We are deducing certain things. Many people say that the period where Gupta Empire got established 318 or 320 AD to 550 AD, that was a period where there were small kingdoms, and Gupta Empire took advantage of it, and they are saying that there were Kushana state in the north and Satavahanas in the south or in the central India, and they were small. They were not Mauryan Empire per se, and that advantage was taken, Gupta took that advantage or took that scenario and made it an advantageous position for them and started ruling. But there were people, there were kingdoms, and that's what we will be discussing here. It's not like it was a total vacuum. There were minor powers. And what were those minor powers? If you're talking about Western and Central India, even though Satavahanas will go, Vakatakas will come. In Western India, we have already discussed that these Western Kshatrapas, the Shakas, they are still there. So it's not like Guptas, they do not have any enemy, and they are totally, nobody is challenging them. There are people, or there are kingdoms who are or who will be challenging them. So please remember, Vakatakas, they replace Satavahanas. Western Kshatrapas, Shakas, they are still there. Good evening, Venolu Puru. If I'm pronouncing your name wrong, pardon me for that. So Vakatakas, they're there. Who are these Vakatakas? Who, why they got divided into different branch, Vatsugulma, Nandi, Vardhana. We'll be talking about them in detail in the next lecture, that is tomorrow's lecture, that is Vakatakas, Vardhanas and Sangam age. So right now we have to focus on this Gupta period because they are important and generally people mug up facts about them. So we know it's not total vacuum. There are Vakatakas, there are, Shakas, and when you are marrying, let's say Guptas are marrying Nagas or Vakatakas are marrying Nagas or they are marrying each other, that shows these are strong powers and they don't want to fight all the time, and that's why they are having these alliances. Cool. And then what is happening in Deccan and South India? We have just discussed that Samudragupta, his 3-stage annexation. In his 2nd stage of annexation, he went south after eliminating some Atavira Rajas or the tribal people who were present in the current day of Odisha and Andhra Pradesh region. And then he went to meet Vishnugopa Pallavas. So these people were there and there were kingdoms. So it's not like, again, what we are trying to prove here is it was not total vacuum which was there. Fine. All these things are there. And all these things are there rather, and that's what they are saying, that there were kingdoms, but you cannot deny the fact that it was fragmented. The society or the political structure was fragmented to a greater degree. Cool, bro. Now, Gupta's origin that we have just discussed, based on the coins, based on the area they were ruling, most of the people now believe that they were feudatories of the Kushanas. The coins, they are very similar. The area they are ruling is very similar. So, once they must have worked under the Kushanas, when Kushanas became weak, they took advantage of this fact and they became independent. Sri Gupta is, the earliest known ruler of Gupta kings, and then Ghatotkacha, but Chandragupta I is the real founder. Cool. So that's what they are saying. You can have a look at it, and nobody knows whether they were Vaishya or Kshatriya or Brahman. There are speculations regarding it. Then what this slide is all about? This slide is similar to what we have discussed earlier. What we have discussed earlier, when we have talked about Magad, then we have talked about, have a look at this. We have talked about how Magad is a fertile land, how they have iron ore mines, blah, blah, blah. So all these factors they are discussing here. They are having Indo-Roman trade also, which reached its peak in post-modern period and is continuing in Gupta period. We have also discussed why this Indo-Roman trade flourished, the discovery of monsoon winds, etc. They played a crucial role. But in this particular period, they are trading with Byzantine Empire. In the starting of this lecture, I have discussed who are these Byzantines. Who are these Byzantines? So same reasons which we have discussed earlier, what made Magadha the most powerful Mahajanpad, similar points you can use here for Guptas also, because they are ruling in that Magad region only. It's a very fertile land. Gangetic plains we have discussed in the Vedic period lecture. It is not only one of the most fertile areas of India, it is one of the most fertile areas of the world. Similar kind of things they are discussing here. Fine. Byzantine, anyone? We have discussed this earlier, bro. Eastern Roman Empire, as Aarti is saying. Cool. Founder Sri Gupta we have discussed. The real founder is Chandragupta I, and his period is believed to be around from 320 to 335. Some believe it to be like 318 or 319 to 335 or 350. So for 15-16 years he ruled, and then he married a Lichavi prince, and that's why Samudragupta is known as Lichavi Dohitra, grandson of Lichavis. Ruled in certain areas. You can have a look at it. We have discussed all these things. Queen Kumara Devi. She is a Lichavi prince. When we were talking about Lichavi clan, Lichavi is the spelling of Lichavi. There are so many H in that, and it goes on. I have just skipped some CHH here. So Lichavi clan was associated with which particular Mahajanpad? Do you remember it? Do you have any idea like what we have discussed earlier in the 16 Mahajanpads? Lichavi clan was associated with which Mahajanpad? Majorly with which Mahajanpads? Initially with which Mahajanpad? The answer is Vriji या Vajji Mahajanpad. Vajji, or they are also written as Vriji. Vriji, Malla. If you remember, please revise stuff. You people have forgotten certain stuff. Dark Vibe, nice name. Aarti Nishkam, you people are saying stuff. So please remember all these things. Vajji and Vijji, Lichavi clan, and Queen Kumara Devi. And that thing we have used to prove that Gana Sangha survived from the period of Mahajanpada to Gupta Empire. Almost for 1000 years, these Gana Sangha survived. It's not like they were wiped out completely by the monarchy. Cool, bro. Samudragupta, he is like everything. See, I will just show you. He can do anything. That is what this madam is saying. He can play Veena. He has defeated different kingdoms. He has forced them to accept his suzerainty, and he can do anything and everything. He was a promoter of Hinduism, but he did not, executed or persecuted Buddhism. He in fact gave support to certain Buddhist scholars. So he was like Anukampawan. There is a word associated with him. He's also known as Napoleon of India. And he is mentioned in Javanese text Tantrika Mandaka. Tantrika Mandaka. Javanese text Mandaka. Javanese. Javanese means of Java. Java is like Indonesian island, right? So again, that's what is written here, that he is so good and he has written certain things. Allahabad pillar inscription, we all know. It was written by his court poet, Hari Sen. Let's talk about another inscription which we generally don't know, that is Aaron inscription, which is found around like Aaron inscription of 510 AD. And one of the earliest evidence of sati you find in this particular Aaron inscription. So this becomes important. Anything first, your first this and that. So this is one of the earliest evidence of sati, a recorded sati event. So please understand one thing, 510 AD we are talking about, and we have evidence of sati here. This is the actual evidence. They have written about sati on this inscription. So sati may have been carried long way back, this is a written evidence. We don't know how long back it was carried out. You don't write everything you do you? So again, so this shows that this practice of sati was going on for such a long period of time. Fine. And then again, there is story here written in Allahabad pillar inscription that he is so, fearsome. People are scared of him. He can be very happy. He can be very sad. He can be very angry. He can be anything, this Samudragupta sir. And his period was, we have discussed this, that 335 to 375 AD. Most of the historians agree on this date. Some people believe that he ruled from 350 AD to 375 AD. Again, we have discussed the chronology part in the first part of the lecture. So, Aaron inscription of Sati. Hari Sen. Again, inscriptions. When we have talked about inscription in sources, we have talked about exaggeration, that you have to take it with a pinch of salt. He has to survive. If you say something which Samudragupta doesn't like, he will do dishkyao. Then what will happen to Hari Sen? We will never know about him. So we are knowing about him, that shows that he survived. So exaggeration cannot be ruled out. Then what is important from exam perspective? Who is known as Napoleon of India? This question has been asked multiple times in multiple exams, so you have to remember it. And Vincent Smith, there is a foreigner who called him this. So again, it's not like everything which is written about Samudragupta is an exaggeration. It's different. Let's see, understand one thing. When we're reading sources, we have talked about that literary sources are something, telling something, archaeological sources are telling something else. Then you have to look for more data. But here, Indian text is saying that Samudragupta was like brave. Your Vincent Smith is saying that he is Napoleon of India. Your Indonesian text, Tantrika Mandaka is saying about him. That means he was something, bro. If so many people are saying something about him, he had something in him. Means Virat Kohli, if he is, let's talk about Sachin Tendulkar, if he is revered all over, then he has something, bro. So yes, so again, all these things, you can have a look at it. We have discussed this literally. He can also compose verses, he can play veena, he can do anything. He was awesome, as this ma'am is saying. And then he was a patron of many poets and scholars. We have discussed, this point is important, bro. Please understand this. He was not a follower of Buddhism. He was a follower of Vaishnavism. But that does not mean that he persecuted other sects or creeds. He was a patron of great Buddhist scholar Vasubandhu. Sometimes they give you these kind of questions. What kind of questions? Like Guru Nanak Dev. We'll talk about Guru Nanak Ji. So he was a contemporary of Babar. True or false? Tell me. Use your pre-existing knowledge. I just ask you one question. We are trying to understand if UPSC is framing a question from this slide, what kind of questions they can frame based on UPSC PYQs. So my question to you is, based on whatever you have studied about Guru Nanak Ji, was Guru Nanak Ji a contemporary of Babar? Napoleon should be Samudragupta of Europe. Very good, Rajeshri. So, hope you are understanding this. Guru Nanak Ji, is Guru Nanak Ji a contemporary of Babar, or was he a contemporary of Babar? Yes. A is saying yes. Dark is saying yes. And he was also a contemporary of Krishna Dev Roy. So these things you have to understand. Similarly, they can say that Vasubandhu was a contemporary of Samudragupta. You have to understand that yes, he was a contemporary and he got patronage from Samudragupta. That's how you have to remember stuff, and that's how you have to think how UPSC is thinking. Fine. So again, Allahabad pillar inscription, 3 stages we have talked about it. In the first stage, he defeated these people, the kingdoms which were nearer to Patliputra. In the second stage, he will be eliminating the tribal people in the Odisha, Andhra Pradesh region, because he has to go to south. He will go to south in the second stage, and he will defeat Pallava Raja Vishnugupta, and he will force him to accept his subordination, but he will not directly control it. So there was a element of centralization and decentralization in Samudragupta's reign. It was not like, we have seen how big his empire was. And in the third stage, again, certain areas or certain rulers of North India who were doing some mischievous activities, some gandhi baat means bad things, he subjugated them, he defeated them. And he forced people as far as like Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia to accept his subordination. And that's why Javanese text Tandrika Mandaka is talking about him. It's not like they will talk about anyone and everyone. He must have done something awesome there. Just like Barney Stinson says, I am awesome. I hope you know who is Barney Stinson. You can Google about him. He is awesome. So second stage, he is conquering. First stage, the area nearer to Patliputra, he conquered it. In the second stage, we have talked about Atavira Rajas, who are actually the tribal people, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh region, because he had to go to south. We have seen that map as well, that he conquered this particular region because he has to go to meet Pallavas. Maybe he had a strong, he wanted to meet Pallavas, Vishnugupta. The most important part here is you have to remember who was the Pallava king when Samudragupta attacked Pallavas. The answer is Vishnugupta. This you cannot forget. Cool. So that's what they are saying. This area has a strategic value. The forested areas of Odisha and Arunachal, means Andhra Pradesh rather. I'm saying Arunachal. I was in Arunachal for a good period of time. I love Arunachal. Northeast is awesome. If you ever visit it, like people generally go to Uttarakhand and Himachal, that is awesome. But they have reached an ecological limit. So many bad things are happening because humans are putting too much pressure on the limited resource. You can go to Northeast. Northeast is untapped. So it enabled Samudragupta to proceed to south when he controlled these areas of Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. And then he reached to till Kanchi. So this map was one of the first map which we have seen when we were discussing Guptas like today. So you can have a look at it again. Dark Vibe is saying true. Rajeshri is saying true. So second stage again, South India. Please understand, we have continuously discussed the same thing, centralization and decentralization. Pallavas, he is not directly controlling them because he knows they are very far apart from him and they can anytime become independent, which they became actually. When we were seeing the Kumaragupta's map, we have seen that Pallavas, Kalingas, they have all become independent. Cool. Third stage, again, certain kingdoms of North India who were trying to do some mischievous activities, he subjugated them. You don't have to remember each and every one. Just try to understand that this guy was awesome and he annexed major portion of Indian territories, and not only Indian territories, he went as far as Southeast Asia, and he also certain portions like some king of Sri Lanka, they came and they were like, we want to establish a monastery in Bodh Gaya or nearby regions. And he was like, okay, I'm giving you the permission. So he has that aura. Cool. So that's all these things are written here. You can have a look at it. And this is 375 AD. We have seen this extension. You have to keep on looking at the maps. Maps will help you. Island of Sri Lanka, they also acknowledged Gupta's suzerainty. We have discussed all these things. And he did not create an all India empire under their direct control. Decentralization plus centralization. So feudalism, which has started happening from the period of Satavahanas because of the land grant system, it continued in Gupta period, but it was suppressed to a certain extent. But because Gupta empire was fairly centralized, but you cannot say that it was totally centralized. There was no element of decentralization in it. No, that is actually wrong. Visiting these places, then noticing and remembering the features is the best, sir. Yes, but again, that will take some time. So right now we have to remember all these things. And Anukampavan, full of compassion also. In the previous slides we have seen he gets angry also. So again, all these things are like, it shows that he had like, he was a polymath, or he had multiple attributes. Polymath is not the right word here. Ashwamedha type of coins. Now here we have understood that this guy is awesome. So we don't need more examples related to it. Now we have to understand from exam perspective what will happen. I've already told you that there was a ruler of Sri Lanka who wanted to build a Buddhist monastery at Bodh Gaya, and he gave him the permission, and Xuanzang or Yuan Tsang, who arrived during the period of Harsha, he names it as Mahabodhi Sangramam. Again, you don't need to remember all these things. Here, focus on this particular part. This is important because I have seen it in state PSCs, and UPSC has not given these kind of questions, but UPSC has talked about Kali era. Yesterday, thank you for loving the Northeast. Visiting these, okay, what I was saying that yesterday we were talking about a PYQ and we were solving a PYQ where we were discussing Vikram era, Shaka era, and then UPSC has asked about Kali era. If you have not seen that, you can watch the previous lecture, yesterday's lecture. So Kali era is associated with Kali Yuga. So generally we believe that UPSC will avoid those kind of questions which has religious connotation, but that cannot be totally ruled out. So here what is important is, we are talking, and these kind of questions has been directly asked in exams like UPPSC, etc. So you never know. So like there are different vehicles of different gods. So crocodile, it is the vehicle of Ganga. So what is the vehicle of Lakshmi? Because all these things we are seeing in on his coins, and they can say that no, UPSC can always give a justification, although they don't do anything. They don't even like, they give you all these things once the whole process is done. But I'm just giving an example. They can always say that it has no religious connotation, it was there or associated with Samudragupta, that's why they asked. So what is the vehicle of Lakshmi? Like the vehicle of Ganga is crocodile, which is known as Makara. Anybody has any idea what is the vehicle of Lakshmi? Elephant. A is saying elephant. Any other answer you want to give? You may have heard about it also. All these things are associated with Samudragupta. He is showing so many things, and that's why we are saying that he is a promoter of Vaishnavism, but he is not discriminating Buddhism, etc. He is giving patronage to them also, and that's why he has been referred to as Anukampavan. Vahan of Lakshmi is owl. Owl. You call it Ullu. So you can remember it. You never know what they're going to ask. So please remember it. And then this is a coin where Samudragupta is playing the veena. Chandragupta II. What are the good things related to Chandragupta II? Many people believe that he ruled from 380 AD to 414 AD. He is Chakri. He defeated the Shakas, the Western Chhatrapat. During his period, Fahiyan arrived. He had Navratnas, 9 gems in his court. Kalidas was one of them. Dhanvantari was another. So there were different people who were there. So all these things, golden age. Now here we have to understand something, the narrative around golden age. Vishakhadatta's drama, Devi Chandraguptam. We have talked about it. UPSC loves this book. There are certain areas which UPSC love a lot. Like Sangam age, they are loving a lot right now. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Then Mongols, UPSC is loving a lot, like Mongols these days. 2-3 questions in the last 3-4 years. So we have to pay attention to these. So Devi Chandraguptam also they have asked multiple times now, and we have talked about it. Chandragupta II killed his elder brother Ramagupta. Story of Dhruv Devi. Dhruv Devi was his, how will you say, sister-in-law, but he later on married her. Anything is fair in power, like when power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, but we never know. Owl is the answer. So when we never know in which situation this happened, so we are nobody to judge. It's not like we are Doodh ka dhula. Doodh ka dhula means everything is hunky-dory with us, or we are totally pure. We all have issues. Fine. So golden age of India, we have talked about this golden age narrative, if you have followed my previous lecture, that there was a narrative which was going on by, and there are 2 groups of historians who are very famous. So one is colonial historians, the other is nationalist historians. And colonial historians gave the narrative of dark age, where they said that the post-modern period from 200 BC to 300 AD was a dark age, and the other rulers from like the foreign people, they were coming into our territory, and the society was so fragmented, and the monks and nuns, they were so materialistic. They should have been, thinking about renunciation of the world and all those things, but they were involved in Indo-Roman trade. So many things they talked about to give a, to substantiate their view that post-modern period was indeed a dark age. So here, again, we have discussed this, that colonial historians in a way are trying to counter that narrative, that if you are saying postmodern period is a dark age, so we are saying that Gupta period is a golden age. So that is one thing which you have to understand. And then you can talk about different things, that why it is called a golden age, what happened during the Gupta period, earliest evidence of temple construction. Mongols' native place, sir, as the name suggests, Mongolia. So golden age of India. Earliest evidence of temple construction, what we have discussed earlier. Where do you find earliest evidence of temple construction? Earliest evidence of temple construction? In Gupta period, and it was Panchayatan style, we have talked about it. So temple construction evidences you are saying. Then so many books are written. Kalidas is writing so many different books. Abhigyan Sakuntalam, Meghdutam, Devi Chandraguptam, mean this, you see this guy Vishakhadatta is writing Devi Chandraguptam, Mudra Rakshasa. So many books have been written during this period. So literature also you can see so much richness in literature. Then if you talk about astronomy, you have Vara Mihira, he is writing like Panchsiddhantika. You have Aryabhat who is writing Aryabhatya. So in maths also so many things are happening. Charak and Shushrut, these are people are there, although the dates about these guys are little hazy. So in medicine things are happening. So in different spheres, different things are happening, and that's why these points are used by these nationalist historians to prove the point that it was indeed a golden age. Fine, cool. And again, matrimonial alliance, we have talked about these. These all guys were marrying these Nagas, Naga princes, and these are Naga princes of central India, and they were also ruling over certain portion of northern India. These are not Nagas of, Nagaland and Naga tribe. We're not talking about those Nagas. They're different Nagas. And this also in the starting when we're seeing the map, we have discussed that Chandragupta II, he married his daughter, Prabhavati Gupta, to a Vakataka ruler. And there was a period from 385 to 405 AD, which was known as Vakataka Gupta period, because this guy, Pravarsena, or Rudrasena II rather, he died. He died, and Prabhavati Gupta was literally ruling over Vakatakas. We'll talk about it tomorrow when we are talking about Vakatakas. Fine. So again, we'll have a discussion on this. All these things are written. The most important part about Chandragupta II we have discussed. Sakri, he is called Shakri, that is the person who has defeated the Shakas. Western Kshatrap region, we have discussed this. And then Fahiyan came, Navratnas, we have discussed all these things. That is written here. Kshatraps, Rudrasen. Again, you don't need to remember the Shaka ruler, who was the Shaka ruler, Rudrasimha III, etc. You just have to remember he is known as Shakri, destroyer of the Shakas. This is very important. These Shaka guys, they are there for almost 400 years now. Northern Kshatrap, they lost to Pahlavas, who are also known as Parthians. This we have discussed in the previous lecture, right? But the Western Kshatrap, they kept holding on to it, even though Satavahanas were very near to them, and Satavahanas challenged them a lot. Gautmi Putra Satkarni, Nahapana battle. Then we have talked about all these things. Rudradaman, what he was saying. But finally, who defeated these Shakas was Chandragupta II, who took the title of Vikramaditya. We have seen this Vikramaditya title earlier also. Can you tell me where have we discussed this Vikramaditya title yesterday? Anyone? Please, please, please revise. Vikramaditya title we have seen, there was a ruler who started this whole tradition. Are Shakas independent or subsidiary under any ruler, sir? They were independent, and finally they were defeated by Chandragupta II. We have discussed Shakas. There was a ruler of Ujjain who defeated Shakas, and after that he started Vikram Samvat and took the title of Vikramaditya. Vikram Samvat 57-58 BC. This we have discussed in the previous lecture. And from there, this tradition of taking on the title of Vikramaditya started. Now even Chandragupta II is taking the title of Vikramaditya. So you have to remember all these things. We have discussed it earlier. Fine. And then military achievement, he controlled a different, like so many areas. Roman trade is going on, Indo-Roman trade, we have discussed about this. You can have a look at it. Please pay attention to the map. So in 375 AD, at that time, this area was independent. 450 AD, now this whole Gupta Empire is extending westward and eastward, but they have lost control of the southern part. Kalinga is independent, Pallavas are also independent. So these points you have to keep in mind. Chandragupta II, now this is important. When you talk about golden age, and there is a very high probability, they keep on asking about golden age, etc. So we have talked about books, we have talked about astronomy or maths. Then this is an example of science and tech. Iron pillar inscription at Mehrauli. It has not yet rusted. If you see this, oh my God, look at this pillar. There is a song also. Oh my God, look at this. So iron pillar inscription. This thing which has not yet rusted in the last 1500 1600 years. That shows how advanced science and tech was at that particular period. So all these things, all these evidences are used by nationalist historians to cite the point that it was indeed a golden age. So iron pillar inscription, okay, fine. Navratnas were there, Kalidas was there, Fahiyan visited during his reign, and we have discussed Fahiyan, Xuanzang, Fahiyan, Huantasang, F come first, so Fahiyan came first. What else? Chandragupta II, Fahiyan visited, and then he said certain things. See here what he is saying in the last part. So he is saying that Buddhism was in a flourishing condition in northwestern India. So he is meaning the Gandhara Takshila region. But in the Gangetic Valley, it was in a state of neglect because that area was the land of Brahmanism. Obviously, when you have Samudragupta etc. who are promoting Vaishnavism, so it will be a land of Brahmanism. That's what he is saying. So you have to understand this. Fine. The rest all you can have a look at it. How many years he stayed where, that is not important from exam perspective. Cool. Then 9 James. You can have a look at it in your spare time. Who are these 9 James? The most important part here is from exam perspective, you have to remember the important books like Brihat Samhita, Varamihira he wrote. Then Shanku, he is expert in geography. I will tell you some important names here. Like we will see later on also, there are certain books written by certain authors. Those authors becomes very important. Like there is a guy called Shudraka he wrote Mritchikatika. So these books are important, and the more questions you solve, the more you will realize how to remember them. So don't worry too much. I will show you the PYQs also. You will remember them. Then comes Kumaragupta after Chandragupta II. And why he is important? He established Nalanda University. He was a follower of Kartikeya, who is also known as Lord Murugan in South India. When we'll talk about Sangam age, we'll talk about Kartikeya or Lord Murugan. From his period, Huna invasion you will start seeing happening. He faced it. His son Skandgupta will be facing it. But the decline you will start seeing in Gupta period, the decline you will start seeing from Kumaragupta period, because Hunas have impacted the land route between India and the Roman Empire or the Eastern Roman Empire or the Byzantine Empire, whom we call it like this. Fine. So that's what they are saying here. So even now you are seeing gold coins of high quality, but as you will reach the Skandgupta age, you will see the debasement of coins. This we have discussed multiple times. That all the gold coins will be there, but the amount of gold in them will reduce. Archer type coin, again the quality of coin is very good and it looks very similar to Kushana type of coins. Again, further, supporting the theory that Guptas were feudatories of Kushanas. Again, they are saying the same things, that decline happened because of Huna invasion. Huna were Central Asian tribal people, and they are like Mongols. Like Mongols, you hear about them because they captured a lot of territories. You don't hear much about Hunas because they were not as ferocious as Mongols, but they had similar lineage. And why we keep on hearing about these Central Asian tribes? What is there in Central Asia that forced these tribal people to ransack other territories? And again, if you read geography, you will realize the areas we are talking about, let's say Mongolia, etc., the Central Asian region, they are like grassland or they're devoid of fertile soil. So they have to go to different regions because pasturing and nomadic lifestyle they have to adopt. Transhumans they do. In summer they are at one region, in winter they have to go to another region. And that is one of the reasons why you are seeing so many tribal people coming from Central Asia, be it Hunas or later on, be it Mongols. They have to go to different regions to acquire resources. And in that process, they will kill people and then we'll be knowing about them. So again, that's what they are saying here. That because of these Huna invasion, because of the rise of Yashodharman of Malwa, the Gupta Empire will start disintegrating from 500 AD onwards, and that will give rise to different kingdoms. We have seen the map, Pushyabhutis, from which Harsha will emerge. Fine. Then you have mockeries of Kannauj. Here we will talk about Grahavarman and other rulers. Then we have Matrikas of Vallabhi. Later on, when we are talking about Jaina Council, we'll be talking about Vallabhi as well. Cool. Skandgupta, 455-467 AD. And then he is fighting Huna's invasion, but the kingdom is declining, the trade is declining, debasement of coins you will be seeing, and all these things are written here. Junagadh inscription, and again Junagadh inscription is coming again and again. We have talked about Girnar or Junagadh inscription earlier, that there is evidences of Ashokan inscriptions there. Then Shaka ruler Rudradaman is talking about repairing a reservoir on the Sudarshan lake, and now Skandgupta is also saying that he also did the repairing again. So three different dynasties are associated with your Girnar or Junagadh inscription, so you cannot forget that. Then these Hunas, they came or they were powerful in the Oxus Valley. Now this is important from exam perspective also, like geographical perspective as well, that Oxus Valley, this is Amu Darya. This is a river in Central Asia, and this is a very prominent region. Central Asia, I have given you this homework and I think I saw some answers in some of the previous videos where I have told you that Central Asia, there are 5 countries, 5 stans which are part of Central Asian countries. Afghanistan is not part of Central Asia. So Oxus Valley is there in, or Amu Darya is there in Central Asia. From there they migrated to different region. Now you have also understood the reason why these people, they keep on migrating from Central Asian region, because that region is mostly devoid of resources. They have to go to different regions and then they attacked. And here what is important, like in the previous lecture when we were talking about Shakas, we were talking about Kushanas, we were talking about different rulers. Like you have to remember Uruddhaman is a Shaka ruler. You have to remember Minenda. Do you remember Minenda? Who was Minenda? Why do we have to remember this guy Minenda? King Minenda. Anyone? Who was King Minenda? Oxus Valley is in Central Asia. It's an Amu Darya. It's not following from a single country, you know. It's following, like flowing down different Central Asian countries. There are 5 Central Asian countries, if I'm not wrong. Kyrgyzstan, then Kazakhstan, then Tajikistan, then Uzbekistan, then Turkmenistan. So these are 5 Central Asian countries. You have to see Amu Darya is following through which of these Central Asian countries. So Menander, King Menander is associated with which particular kingdom? Any idea? Where we have talked about it, means him. We have talked about him yesterday. And he is associated with which particular kingdom? Indo-Greek ruler, as A is saying. So he was Indo-Greek, he was a Bactrian. And the very famous book is Milinda Panha, on which UPSC has already asked a question. Who wrote Milinda Panha? Why I'm telling you this? Because just like you have to remember King Menander is associated with Bactrians or Indo-Greek, similarly you don't have to remember all these things from where these Huns came, Oxus Valley, vagera, etc, etc. Oxus Valley can become important from geographical perspective. But here you have to remember Toramana, Mihira Kula, they belong to which particular dynasty, or they were Hunas, or they were Indo-Greeks, or they were Shakas, or they were Kushanas. This is important from exam perspective. The rest all you can forget. So Milinda Panha was written by who wrote Milinda Panha? Nagasena. Very good here. Nagasena. Correct. A. Cool. Please revise, please revise, revise. So again, decline of Gupta Empire, different issues, weak successes after Skandgupta, these Huna's invasion, decline in Indo-Roman trade, all these multiple factors, primogeniture and coercenary inheritance. We have talked about these terms multiple times. Please don't forget it. Primogeniture, coercenary inheritance. Primogeniture, coercenary inheritance. So what happens in primogeniture? Your eldest son will inherit the property. In coercenary inheritance, you are dividing your property among whatever sons you have. Primogeniture and coercenary inheritance, please don't forget about it. The administrative weaknesses. We have talked about Satvahana period, the land grant system, feudalism, or so many intermediaries between king and subject. This thing will continue. These local chiefs, they are looking for a reason to establish or re-establish their authority. Plus, Vakatakas, whom we have seen in the map, they are very near to Guptas. They are friend come foes come friend. See, you can never rely on anybody in your life except yourself. That you will understand from various examples of history. We have realized there was a time during the period of Chandragupta II when he has married his daughter Prabhavati Gupta to a Vakataka ruler. And 20 years, even Prabhavati Gupta was ruling over the Vakataka dynasty. But Vakatakas did not like Guptas. They were looking for opportunities to weaken Guptas, and that also played a crucial role in the decline of Guptas. Fine. So again, all these things are written here. You can have a look at it. Competition with Vakatakas, and that's why there is a famous saying in Hindi, Ghar ka beti Lanka dae. At one point of time, Vakatakas were relatives of Guptas. If you look at Chandragupta II and his daughter Prabhavati Gupta. So in a way, they were all families only. But when you are ruling, it doesn't matter who is family or who is not. If you remember, when we were talking about Bimbisara, Ajat-Shatru, Haranyaka dynasty, we have seen that after Ajat-Shatru, if I am not wrong, all the people, they killed their fathers when they ascended to the throne. So again, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So you have to remember it. Everything is fair in love and war. Here we are talking about war. And then we have talked about it. We are talking about various factors which contributed to decline of Gupta Empire. I have told you in the starting of the lecture, in 530 AD, there arrived a guy called Yashodharman in Malwa who captured almost all of India. He defeated not only Guptas, he also defeated the Hunas. He was actually, when you read more about him, although you shouldn't be reading more about him because it will lead, you will waste a lot of time, and it's all about cost benefit ratio. Then you will realize that this guy was something else entirely. For 10 years, he was like winning here, there and everywhere. This Yashodharman of Malwa. Cool. Internal rebellions. When, see, Yashodharman became a role model for all the small kingdoms around. That if Yashodharman can defeat Guptas, if Yashodharman can defeat Hunas and everyone, why can't we do the same? So he is a role model. Just like Gukesh has become a role model for every young Indian now, that we have to become a grandmaster. And before Gukesh, we had Vishwanathan Anand, and then there are other people also, right? So he is acting as a role model, and that's why we are seeing different dynasties will come into picture now. Pushyabhuti dynasty, Maitrika dynasty, Mokhri dynasty, all these dynasties. Gauda dynasty will be there in Bengal, and from here will emerge a king called as King Shashank, about whom we will be reading in tomorrow's lecture. Cool. So please pay attention to these maps. UPSC has asked questions on these maps. Mokhri, Kannauj. Now see, up until now the center was revolving around Patliputra. For almost 1000 years or more, our center, whatever we are talking about, even the Guptas we are talking about, Patliputra was the center. But now slowly but surely the center will shift to Kannauj, and we'll discuss about this reason why the center will shift to Kannauj. Fine. And it is also known as, the old name of Kannauj is Kanya Kubja. Please remember these names, they can always ask you that. Again, similar kind of things are written here, you can have a look at it. Gupta's administration. Now here you have to remember some terms, like what are uparikas. These terms are tricky. These are the terms where you get confused. What are vishyas? What are vishyapatis? These are some specific terms which you have to keep in mind. Rest, amatya, sachiv, you will keep on hearing them in different periods, and the meaning remains more or less the same. Nobody is a permanent friend in power. Very good, yeah. So, uparikas, see, there were provinces. The people who were ruling over the provinces, they were uparikas, ruler of provinces. In Gupta period, they were uparikas. These terms, please don't forget it. Vishyas are districts. So, provinces were divided into districts and they were known as Vishyas. And people ruling over Vishyas, they are Vishyapatis. People ruling over districts, Vishyapatis. So these are some small terms which you have to keep in mind. Rest all different terms will keep on coming. Just remember these three. These three are very important. Uparikas, Vishyas and Vishyapatis. So many questions comes on these three terms. Fine. Mix of centralization and decentralization. This we have already understood when we have talked about three-stage annexation of Samudragupta. When we are talking about this, we have discussed how he was following a perfect example of centralization and decentralization. The areas which were nearer to Patliputra, where he felt like he could directly control it, he was following the centralized model. But the areas which were far apart from Patliputra, like Pallavas, Vishnugopa, he was following a decentralized model, that accept our suzerainty, do whatever you are doing, just keep on paying a certain amount of tribute, we are happy. Cool. Central administration, then again, king is attaining divine status, that I am Maharaja Dhiraja, Param Bhatraka, you can have a look at it. Central administration, there are ministers, Amatya and Sachiv. I will tell you the important terms which we have to keep in mind. See here. This is important, this is important. These terms are important because sometimes people generally ask me, sir, how to remember the terms. When you are remembering the terms, the cost benefit ratio is again very low. So you have to pay attention to those terms which are there in NCERT, which I have included here. Like provinces, in that time, it was entrusted to Uparika. So these are the guys who are ruling over provinces, we have discussed just now. Districts are known as Vishyas, we have discussed it, and the people whom these districts have been entrusted, they are known as Vishyapatis. Fine. Espionage, the spies In the period of Guptas, they were known as Dutakas. So these are the terms. Uparikas, people who are ruling over provinces. Then you have Vishyas, which are districts, and the people who are ruling over Vishyas, they are known as Vishyapatis. And then spies, they are known as Dutakas. So these are some small terms. These are one of the most boring things which you have to remember, but you have to remember. You cannot escape away from it. Fine. Then you have armies. Unlike in the Magad period where we have seen they had lots of elephants, now Gupta did not have too many elephants. Maybe that also played a role in their decline. If you again go back and read the Magad part, you will realize they were the ones who started using elephants on a large scale, and elephants will trample the other soldiers and they'll be like, oh my god, I will die, I will die. And elephant is, that is my purpose. That's why I've been recruited in the army, to kill you people by trampling upon you. So chariots receded in the background and cavalry came to the forefront. You will hear about these things a lot, chariots and cavalry. So cavalry, people who are like walking on foot, and chariots, you know, with their horses and everything. Dude, I'm such a... So central administration, you have Sandhi Vigrahika, minister of in charge of peace and war. And then you have Rana Bhanda Garika. Again, no need of paying too much attention here. Just focus on Uparikas, Vishyas, Vishyapatis, Dutakas, rest all these things. If you are looking at it multiple times, then you will be remembering them. Janpadas and Mahajanpadas. So when multiple Janpadas combine, they become Mahajanpadas. That is the difference between Janpada and Mahajanpad. So districts, they are known as Vishyas. See, the things which will be important, you will see them multiple times. Why? So that you can remember it. So they are known as Pradesh or Vishya. The people who will be ruling over them, they are known as Vishyapati. And again, if I ask you a question now, who are ruling over provinces? What are they called? The more I ask you, the more you answer, the more you will remember. So district, Vishya, the people who are ruling over districts are Vishyapatis. Multiple districts will come together and they will form a province. Who is ruling over the province? What is the name? What we have discussed? Please, fast sir, fast sir, fast sir. We have discussed it multiple number of times. District Vishyas, Vishyapati are ruling over it. And provinces, who are ruling over provinces? Uparikas. Please don't forget it. You people are like, it seems like you people love Gajini, short-term memory loss. Uparikas. Cool. And then they have given Nagara Shreshthis and all those. Land tax, even in the modern period, we have talked about it. It was hovering around this only, 1/6, etc. Same thing is here. Vishti, forced labor. Please remember this. UPSC has asked a question on this. We'll have a discussion on that later on also. Forced labor was a practice and it happened in Assam also. At that time, it was known as pikes. In Assam, when we'll talk about Assam, NCRT says that in Assam also, forced labor practice used to happen in the ancient medieval period, and the practice was known as pike, forced labor. So here it is known as Paika rebellion is also there, which happened in Odisha. So don't confuse these pikes or the forced labor system in Assam with the Paika rebellion. They are different. And similarly, forced labor or Vishti system happened in Guptas, and in a way it was seen as a means that you are paying to the state. Let's say if I am telling you, it's like conscription, you know, you have to, not exactly like conscription. Conscription is a much liberal version where you have to do some amount of military service. In Israel, you have compulsory conscription. So here also, Vishti was seen in Gupta period as a way that you are paying to the state, paying to the king when you are doing certain labor, forced labor you have to do. So yes, it was there. Vishti, just remember the word Vishti. And then there are certain books which you have to remember. Vishakhadatta, Mudra Rakshasa and Devi Chandraguptam. This we have discussed, I think, almost 1000 number of times now. Please don't forget it. Shudraka, Mritchikatika. Again, if you watch Bharat Ek Khoj, there is an entire episode on Mritchikatika. It was such a good book. Bharavi's Kirtar, Junior, Dandins. Again, these are not important. What is very important is this. Vishakhadatta's Mudra Rakshasa and Devi Chandraguptam. Shudraka's Mritchikatika. This you cannot forget. Dandin Dash Kumar Charit is also important. Remember the name, you don't have to, like, this is prelims crash course, bro. When we'll come to mains crash course, we'll talk about and we'll enter inside these books what they're talking about if needed, right? We'll only talk from like exam perspective. Cool. So again, Vishnu Sharma Panchatantra. This is actually written in the like Vakataka dynasty, but Gupta Vakataka period are converging. And this we have also discussed earlier, that Kautilya Arthashastra and Vishnu Sharma's Panchatantra, the amount of vast knowledge and the difference in the language and writing suggests it was not the work of a single guy. So now many people believe that Panchatantra has been written by multiple authors. Vishnu Sharma is one among them. But again, you don't have to go there. Amar Simha, Amar Kosh. This is actually a grammar, and please understand, earlier also we have talked about Panini. He wrote a Sanskrit grammar book. What is the name of the book? That particular book? Anybody who remembers it? These are some factual things. So the more discussion we have on these things, the more you will be able to remember it. Vishnu Sharma, Panchatantra, Amar Sinha, Amar Kos, which is a grammar book. So since it is a grammar book, that's why we are talking about another grammar book which was written by Panini. What was the name of that particular book? Uparika's Aarti is saying, Guru Raj is saying. Okay. Now the next question. Panini wrote which grammar book? Anyone? Ashtadhyayi A is saying Ashtadhyayi. Please don't forget these names. Cool. Then Aryabhat wrote Aryabhatya. Varamihira wrote Pancha Siddhantika. See, understand this. The 5 astronomical system, what does it mean? 5 astronomical system. At that time, when Varamihira was there were 5 like different, they were different in different parts of the world. 5 different books were written on astronomy. How they were interpreting the like astronomy, you know, sun is at the center or earth is at the center, you know, what is revolving around whom. 5 different astronomical systems were there, and he combined all of them and he wrote Panch Siddhantika, and he gave a summary like what most of these 5 astronomical systems are converging on. Just like you can understand it this way also, like you have ISRO in India, you know, you have Roscosmos in Russia, you have GLONASS, and so many different, you know, centers you have, and they have some certain unique teachings associated with them. Similarly, you have 5 astronomical system. You had 5 astronomical system at that time, and he brought all of them together in this book called Panch Siddhantika. So please remember this is important. Brihat Samhita talks about astronomy. Cool. Astrology is a pseudoscience. Brihat Jataka is considered to be a standard work on astrology. What used to happen in our college was, there was a guy, he liked a girl, he will take out his hand, means her hand. Oh my God, you will get married when you are 24 and that will be a true love. He just wanted to talk to that girl, and that's why he is seeing that hand. Was that guy me? No, I was not that guy. So see, astrology is pseudoscience. Many people believe it to be pseudoscience, but now I have also started seeing pieces and all those things. Again, let's not go there, but astronomy, out of astronomy and astrology, you have to pay more attention to astronomy. We can always discuss about the, you know, how much reliable astrology is. Let's come to some questions now, bro. Silver coins issued by Guptas were called what? So I will again give you some questions. You have to look at how many questions I have given you, and again, if you feel like you have got good number of questions correct, or even if you have got like 0 out of 6 correct, you can post it in the comment section. Make it a habit. Like let's say we have 100 lectures, and if you keep on doing it, keep on posting your marks, you will see how much you have improved. And that's why people write diary. This will be like your diary where you are writing your marks or how many questions you are getting correct, and you are tracking your progress. So what is the answer? Aarti, Gururaj and A has given the answer. The silver coin issued by Guptas were called Rupaka. Very good, yaar. Rupaka. So gold dinara, hope you can see it. Gold is dinara and silver is Rupaka. Next question. So you have list A, list 2, you have to match them. Vishakhadatta, Varamihira, Charaka, Brahmagupta, list 2, medicine, drama, astronomy, mathematics. All in one has given the answer C. See, understand this thing. Vishakhadatta, he wrote Mudra Rakshasa and Devi Chandraguptam. Please, 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 sir and ma'am. Vishakhadatta is very important. The amount of time or the number of times UPSC has asked question on Vishakhadatta is like astonishing. Seriously. So Vishakhadatta, Mudra Rakshasa, Devi Chandraguptam, these are all dramas. So that means A is 2, that you are sure. So if A is 2, do option elimination. You are left with B and C. Cool. And then you have Charak, who is associated with medicine. You cannot associate him with, astronomy or maths. Charak and Shushru, they are very famous. So C is 1. So if C is 1 and you are left with B and C, so the answer is C, as all in one said initially. Guru Raj has also said now. Then you can attach like Varamihira with astronomy. We have just discussed. This is 2. He is at 2. Astronomy, Panch Siddhantika, and Brahmagupta with associated with Brahmasputa Siddhanta, something like that. He wrote a book on maths. Cool. So Varamihira, Panch Siddhantika, and Vishakhadatta's Mudra Rakshasa, Devi Chandraguptam, Charak Samhita. Brahmagupta wrote a book called Brahmasputa Siddhanta. That is a maths book. Solve this question, don't worry about it. There will be certain questions which you may not have seen it. So when we are solving this question, we are gaining some more knowledge. Which one of the following ports handled the North Indian trade during the Gupta period? Now the homework will be, and if you knew the answer, like later on also, you can post it in the comment section. Like let's say, I will not give the answer. First you give the answer, then I will tell you the homework. Which one of the following ports handled the North Indian trade during the Gupta period? All in one has given the answer. They are talking about North Indian trade. Broch or Bhrigu Kacha. We have talked about Broch or Bhrigu Kacha. When we are talking about Western Kshatrap, why Satavahanas and Shakas or Western Kshatrapas, they were fighting. We have seen they all wanted the control of Broch and Supara. All these areas, Broch, Kalyan, Kambe, they are in the Western India or Central India. They are not North India. So the answer is Tamrlipti or Tamluk. Now what is your homework? Your homework is locate them on the map. Locate not only Tamrlipti, locate Broch, Kalyan, Kambe. UPSC has a tendency of asking multiple questions on options. Tamrlipti, this is not the only time they have asked question on Tamrlipti. They have asked question on Tamrlipti earlier also. So Broch, Kalyan, Kambe, you have to locate them on the map. This is your homework. Cool. Tamrlipti or Tamluk. Brahri Gaja is also known as Bhrigu Kacha. Mujirish or Mujiri, we have discussed this. This particular port town has been mentioned in Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, which is an anonymous text. We don't know who wrote that book, and the exact location of Mujiris, it is in Kerala, but the exact location is still unknown. Fine. Arika Medu in Puducherry. Lots of gold coins, Roman gold coins have been found here. So there were certain Roman historians who were like crying, Strabo, etc., that so much gold has been, taken from Rome and gone to India. Cry baby, he was a cry baby, with due respect to Strabo and all those, Pliny. Again, let's solve this question, 2021 question. From the decline of Guptas until the rise of Harshvardhana in the early 7th century, which of the following kingdoms were holding power in northern India? I have not got any answer for this question up until now. Do the option elimination, bro. We have just discussed, right, that Mokhris of Kannauj were there. We have seen the map. So 4 has to be there. If 4 has to be there, you have to eliminate A and D. You are left with B and C, right? Now we have also seen Matrikas of Vallabhi were there. We have seen the map. So 4 and 6 has to be there. That means the only option is B. 1, 3, 4, 6. The Guptas of Magadha, the later Guptas they are talking about. Pushyabhuti of Thanesar, from where Harsha will come. And I will just show you the map. Oh, just a second. This is the map, right? Matrikas are there. And this is the map we have seen in the starting also. I think 550 AD also. Mokris are there at Kannauj. Pushyabhutis are there at Sthanvishwara or Thanesar. We'll talk about them a lot later on also. Cool. So the answer is B, as you people are saying now. So that's it for today's lecture. Whatever marks, like whatever questions we have done, whatever marks you're getting, or 4 out of 3, 3 out of 4, or 4 out of 3 is not possible, 3 out of 4, 2 out of 4, whatever, you can post it in the comment section if you like. And now I'll be seeing you people tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be discussing Vakatakas, Vardhanas and Sangam age. Out of that, all these 3 are very important. Sangam age is a hot shot now. So we have to go deeper into Sangam age. We'll go deeper into Vakatakas and Vardhanas as well. And then we'll solve a lot of questions. So I'll see you people tomorrow. And yes, if there is any friend of yours, or there is any girlfriend of yours, ex-girlfriend of yours, or there is any kid of yours you're planning to have in 2026, or you're planning to take any StudyIQ, paid courses, or anybody is, because this is a free course, so this will keep on going. But any other people who want to take any StudyIQ course, you can just tell them about this particular code of mine, SHS Live. This will benefit them also. This will benefit me also. So that's it. Take care. Be blessed. See you people tomorrow. And please revise stuff. Otherwise, you will forget stuff. Bye-bye.